and there was a mini feud going on. We already
Some trash
know.
talk in there, right?
There was Sean Payton, who we just had Ephraim Salam on, and this is who he is, Sean Payton. I'm not a fan, and especially as someone who sent players out to hurt other players. I don't think you could discount that or act like that doesn't matter. If I had a Hall of Fame vote and Sean Payton's name came up, there's no way in hell I would vote for such a guy who got suspended by the league after they warned him about this whole bounty thing. A bounty, this is about hurting people, right?
Yeah.
You get paid if you knock somebody out of the game because you hurt them so bad that they get knocked out of the game. And I don't know how in the world that Sean Payton has been able to skate from that tag, where people were possibly where they were trying to hurt other players. Where are the other players to step up and go, what? What are you asking us to do?
Yeah, I do think there's we talked about it a little bit, I think more off air, but I do think there's maybe not a literal paying way, but I do think that's just been promoted through football through the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Like, go out there, hurt them,
not giving people money.
But that's what I said. I don't know if it was a literal system, but
Bountygate is because there was money involved, okay? If you're out there trying to play and hit as hard as you can.
Because that whole Ronnie Lottenham era and Bill Romanowski,
but they weren't getting paid, and that's why he got suspended for a year.
No, that's real. That's real.
Anyway, the collapse by the Giants, and of course his Broncos won, so he took the time to throw out a comment, slide remark about his former quarterback Russell Wilson, who he had no use for when he got there. He never wanted him and just treated him poorly. I mean, Russ, the numbers weren't that bad in the beginning when they first started playing. But anyway, here's the sound of Sean Payton being I want to keep my job, being a bad guy. I got that.
I have a ton of respect for that organization. I spent 4 of my early years there, close with the mayor, Tisch family. They found a little spark with that quarterback. I was talking to John Mayer not too long ago, and I said we were hoping that change would have happened long after our game.
Is that necessary? Especially when you look at it, Russell Wilson has lost his job. The guy has won a Super Bowl in this league. The guy went to 10 Pro Bowls. Like, can you have some respect for Russell Wilson, whether you like him or not, or whatever went down? It was Russell Wilson pushback on social media, called it classless. Rob G, you have the exact quote from the tweet?
Yep, Russell Wilson tweeted out today, classless but not surprised. Didn't realize you're still bounty hunting 15-plus years later through the media. Laughing emoji, hashtag, let's ride.
And you know what? I'm going to give Russell Wilson applause. Because at some point, you got to push back. You can't allow people to continue to disrespect you and to kick you when you're down and to act like you did nothing in the National Football League and you don't matter. And that is foul. He's done nothing to deserve that. There have been other quarterbacks, on their way down who haven't played well and whatnot, and they aren't disrespected the way that Sean Payton has tried to disrespect Russell Wilson. And I'm usually like, take the high road, but there comes a point. And there was no need for that. Am I right? Like,
no,
what was the real? Well, I talked to him. I was like, I was hoping that we could get the terrible Russell. That's what he said, Russell Wilson, before you made the change at quarterback. Is that what it was? Okay.
Then they have to take a dig at your ex. And they always say, why have to go back and talk about your ex? And Sean Payton, call him Sean Petty, because he has some petty in him. And throughout the years, we've seen that. Little snide remarks. You got the Bountygate stuff. There's a time he was fined $100,000 for the whole, he didn't wear a mask when he was supposed to. And John Gruden and him joked about it. He said, John Gruden, you the only stupid blankety blank who actually paid the $100,000 fine because he found out he paid it. Sean Payton has had a history of doing petty and being petty. And then, of course, we know back in 2023, didn't run Russell Wilson, as you mentioned, and then tries to find a way, talks about, hey, man, why don't you just be injured so we don't have to play you? Russ calls them out. The whole feud ensues. Eventually, they would release him in the spring. But they wouldn't play him the last couple of games, and it just was ended bad. Listen, Russell Wilson is very politician-like, very PC, very politically correct. Gee golly shucks. let's ride Bucks and all that. But I do believe there's that straw that breaks a camel back. You know what I mean? If you keep poking and jabbing at somebody, eventually they're gonna snap back and clap back, and that's what Russell Wilson has did here, which is also a freeing thing. Sometimes you try to be nice, sometimes you try to take the high road, and then sometimes you finally be your authentic self, or at least your authentic thoughts in that moment, and it becomes freeing, Rob, where you're like, you know what? Now that I'm at it, this is really what I wanted to say to you. This is really what I think of you. This is what I should have said to you. And I wonder if this is going to be that freeing thing for Russell Wilson, where maybe he's no longer going to be viewed as a starter. And I think he'll start again because of injuries and things like that. But viewed as a top-notch starter, maybe he can actually be himself now. And another thing about Sean Payton has been a solid to good coach. But the idea that he's just been – you got one Super Bowl ring. Am I missing something?
No. They think he's a genius.
You got one Super Bowl ring, and you had about 10, 15 years of Drew Brees.
Can I give you this? Like, Mike McCarthy's looked at like he can't coach, and him and Sean Payton, go look at their records. They're identical.
Eerily
except
similar.
The only difference is Mike McCarthy never went 7-9 with a Hall of Fame quarterback 3 years in a row. Go look.
Yeah. No, we did this before because there's three guys who are very similar. Mike Tomlin, Mike McCarthy, Sean Payton. Their winning percentages around the same. They all got one early with their guys. All of them, what we learned, if you get your guy, you're usually going to win early with them. First handful of years with them. His case, you had Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger for Mike Tomlin, and then who I miss, Aaron Rodgers or Mike McCarthy. Usually you can get in. But the difference, the way that they look at Sean Payton compared to Mike McCarthy, who can't coach.
He's
a Hall of Famer. And my point is, you're actually eerily similar to Russell Wilson in respects to what you do.
Right.
Meaning he's a quarterback, Hall of Fame caliber. Maybe some people have him, maybe some people won't. Just like you, right on the line. Some people think you're a Hall of Fame coach. Some people are like, no, you're a really good coach, but not a Hall of Famer. Both only have one. Russ should have had two. So to me, they're the same guy. So him acting as if he's just that much more superior in his career. I mean, like I told you, to be an offensive guru, these Broncos, aside from that 33-point fourth quarter, they scored in the fourth quarter versus the Eagles 2 weeks earlier. There's 10 out of the 12 quarters, they've scored 16 points to be this offensive guru. So, and if you're the offensive guru, you and Russ didn't work out. So my point is, I just think Sean Payton is doing too much. You've moved on. You've got your guy in Bo Nix. They've got their guy in Jackson Dart. To take a shot at a man randomly who's minding his own business. And listen, just
nobody asked him about Russell. Did anybody ask him about Russell Wilson?
That was a deliberate shot, which to me absolutely warranted a shot back, especially from the guy that always golly shucks is it.
And it is classless.
It was just unnecessary, too.
It's classless. Like, there's no reason to do that. Russell Wilson didn't even play. He's not a part of the game. Why would you bring him up without saying his name? Everybody knows exactly what we're talking about.
And again, this just shows to me whatever they had, their issues in 2023 is carried over. Clearly, they've never, haven't worked it out, and he still has some disdain. And again, all right, I like Russell saying what he said. In fact, Russ, do that a little bit more. You ain't got to be the big-time politician all the time.
I wasn't sure at first because I was thinking it was a pushback finally on Richard Sherman.
Right.
And all that stuff. Remember that?
That's why I said, Rob, sometimes this stuff is freeing, right? Where you're just like, you know what? You've been there where you try to, maybe with a lady, try to bite your tongue or this, you're finally like, since we had it, now that we talking about this, boom, 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 and boom. And you wonder if we might see the dark side of Russ a little bit.
And you know me, I'm always I'm trying to steady the ship. I'm not trying to attack people.
Yeah.
I want to have peace and harmony.
Yeah, no, seriously.
At the workplace. I love my coworkers.
I have high esteem. Martin Luther King's smiling right now thinking about
everyone
you.
Who
Gandhi
I work
is smiling thinking about you.
It is the
Mother
ultimate.
Teresa smiling thinking about you.
There's nothing better than rubbing elbows with the people you work with and having the ultimate respect.
If this were a sitcom, this was where they would go, previously on Curb Your Enthusiasm. And then they would just show all the clips of you getting reckless and saying reckless stuff, and me and Rob G dusting up our boxing skills to make sure we ain't got to throw a couple of jabs. Back up off me, jabs.
You think they're going to attack me at the Super Bowl when my back's turned?
Listen, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And listen, you know what those Super Bowls do? That bar, people be there all day. And you might have a few, and you come in, and they just, Rob, I had enough of you, buddy. And then you never know, man.
Rob, you love your coworkers?
What's that?
Said you love your coworkers?
Always. Nothing better.
You're supposed to be the muted.
Wait a minute, what'd you say?
I said, why you
He
always
said,
lying,
why
Rob?
you always lying?
Why you always lying?
Yeah, it's a little viral thing about 10 years ago or so.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh. Stop blinking, lying. You always lying, Rob. Lying. Why you always lying? Oh, my gosh. Stop blinking, lying.
I'm not lying. I'm a team guy. Always have been.
All right, Rob, so they're watching us right now, which means another thing they can do is what?
They can subscribe. All you got to do is hit that button, subscribe to The Odd Couple for some of the best sports talk content in the nation.
Facts, and while you're at it, they can like, they can comment, they can share. Do all that for us. We appreciate it. Just do all that right up in here.